So I'm not saying there aren't gaps, that we don't know everything about the big universe and everything about all the minutiae of the tiny universe. But the bottom line is that we know about the part that we live in, and we know that there's no God in it, that there's no designer in it, there's no intelligence pre-built into it. We know where it started from, and we started from a cannibalizing, crazy ass, insane development of life forms that feed off of each other. It's a disgusting system in so many ways. It's just about things that consume until they can consume enough they consume enough parts to then rebuild another copy of themselves. And that's what we are. That's what we're part of. If I built a machine that did this, that just went through the universe and just ripped things to pieces, okay, and kept all the pieces in a bag until it had enough pieces to sit there and reconstruct another copy of itself that did the same crazy ass thing and just ripped everything to pieces to make a copy of itself. You just call that, egomaniacally crazy universe, where this thing thinks it's so important that it has to consume the universe to duplicate itself so it can consume the universe. I mean, so quit glorifying this shit. Quit assuming that the gaps mean something, because they can't mean something, is my argument. All right, whatever gaps exist aren't going to sit there and create a justification or an explanation or anything else that's going to change the fact that we were built by crude, ignorant, dumb motherfucking forces. And that our consciousness is just an aberration of 2 or 3 or 4 billion years of life evolving. And that it is a mechanical process that's taking place. It's like a coil of wire, and you run electricity through it, and it possesses magnetism. You turn the electricity off, it's no longer magnetic. And obviously our consciousness works very much the same way. It can be turned on and off. It's not an emergent property of us. And that was a big one for Bally Bowman, was this idea that hydrogen and water, oxygen, have nothing to do with water. I mean, you can't explain water by analyzing hydrogen and oxygen. And it's not the fucking point. I mean, to me, it doesn't. So what does that mean? It means absolutely nothing. The fact that things combine to create new things is not a mystery. It doesn't create any reason to look for mystery. It's just a physical fact of the universe that things can combine, that they can have a puzzly kind of nature where, yes, by themselves they're nothing, but combined with something else, the other thing can complement it, or in some way to create some kind of different appearance or different properties. It's just not miracle. It's not something we really have to explain about the material universe. It's just a fact of chemistry. It's a fact of the dynamics of matter, and the fact that most of this matter is doing that in a very uninteresting way, generally speaking, in ways that have no apparent, obvious, meaningful reality. I mean, the fact that hydrogen, carbon itself can exist as a piece of coal or a diamond, and it just depends on how the elements of the molecular structure are put together, whether it's under pressure or not. It becomes has different physical properties. Is not amazing. I mean, it's interesting, but it's not something we have to say steps beyond a crude physical universe that is made up of material that has properties. I mean, it's not a mystery, and we don't need phantasmagorical explanations for any of this shit. And I would just keep emphasizing the point that the part that we do know, the part about our creation and the creation of consciousness and the creation of intelligence, we know what created it. And it's not a brilliant story. It's not some kind of great tale about how you know, the phantasmagorical dust produces and gives birth to the magnificent human being. No, it's a story of a DNA molecule that has, in various different forms, is just attempting to consume the universe. So get with the program. There's no God here. There's no magic here. We have a shitty heritage. Let's accept it. Let's deal with it. Let's try to move on with this precious thing called consciousness, vulnerability, and this thing called intelligence, and let's try to do something constructive with it besides wasting our time fantasizing and hoping for the happily ever after fairy tale ending bullshit.